We are all worthy, strong, and committed, and we are ready to go beyond our own limitations. Welcome back, my friends and loved ones, to the Rebel Minded Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, with my co-host, Thor, of course, and I'm here as a friend, a creator, a powerlifter, and a provocateur. And we are here to learn to question the one thing that keeps us from our best, ourselves. Join me as we dive deep to question and strengthen our communication and our vulnerability, create a healthier mind to commit to our goals, and how to give more to our lovers and the world. We're going to face the uncomfortable truths of what it means to be authentically and uniquely flawed, but awesome humans. So, let's get rebel-minded. Also, I'll bring in stories of all things powerlifting, Thor shenanigans, and probably some embarrassing mishaps. Let's do this. What up, my freaky friends? How you guys doing this fantastic morning? Here we are, back at the RMP. I'm your host, Zach, and we got some things to kill. First, updates. You guys never actually call in and update me, but I do want you to update yourself. How did everything go this week? Was it powerful? Was it strong? Did you lift some weights? Did you mentally lift some weights? Did you question some stuff? Did you push yourself forward? That's all that really fucking matters, guys, is questioning and rebelling against the fucking everything, I guess. Sometimes the system, sometimes yourself, sometimes other people. Just make yourself healthy, right? I am doing pretty good from an outside view, but internally I went through a lot of emotional struggle. Wear my heart on my sleeve. Was dating somebody and it abruptly ended, but with not with anything really chaotic or unfair or unjust, just mutual recognition of things, of reasons why it wouldn't work. So that sucks. Even when you do things healthy, even if you break up healthy, kind of sucks. But that's the way the world rolls, right? So I want to present to you this next amazing guest. He is the owner of a supplement company, and his name is Jon Klipstein. You ready? Jon Klipstein is a combat veteran who was in Afghanistan for over 2 years during our global war on terrorism. After dealing with his own battles from PTSD and anxiety, and oftentimes finding the solution offered from the VA was medication, he made it his mission to help others find therapy and fitness rather than through prescriptions. This led him to a higher calling with the launch of UXO Supplements, a veteran-owned and operated sports nutrition company offering premium formulas, but also giving back to the veteran-focused nonprofits making a difference today. And if you're curious about UXO Supplements and you're curious about Jon Klipstein beyond this episode, look into his social media on Instagram at UXO Supplements, on Facebook at UXO Supplements, and on YouTube for their weekly vlog. youtube.com/C/UXO Supplements. So without further ado, let's do this. Episode 86 with Jon Klipstein from UXO Supplements. What up, humans? Are you a powerlifter too? Then why are we not friends? Actually, if you're any athlete, get yourself over here. I need some friends. As an athlete who has goals, I do my best to give my body what it needs to hit my powerlifting numbers. And a 500-pound deadlift is a formidable opponent. And Cage Muscle supplements are what I rely on to help me hit those goals. Cage Muscle is the cleanest and most effective product line I've ever used for supplementation, and I've been lifting forever. I never feel like my heart will implode and never feel like anything I take is doing absolutely nothing, like so many other supplements out there. I train better, I recover better, and I sleep better due to the Caged Muscle products that I use. And to get where I want to go in fitness, Cage will always be my go-to. I don't want to sell you on Cage Muscle. I want you to feel the difference. I want you to feel Cage Muscle for yourself. So if you're looking for trying something new and very effective in your supplementation routine, make sure to get 15% off when you use my code HAMSTER15 at checkout. That's HAMSTER 15 when you check out. Let's go hit some numbers, shall we? So yeah, man, let's just dive right into this. So first, let everybody know who you are and what you do, and then we'll start digging into what it is that is part of the rebel-minded mindset, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. My name is Jon. I am the CEO and owner of UXO Supplements. Um, yeah, in the sports nutrition field, just with passion for fitness and trying to offer quality products that meet both the needs of soldiers and athletes alike. Like what really differentiates us, I would say, from the hordes of other supplement companies out there is our military background and our ties
Mm-hmm.
to the military, right? Like that's what really sparked it with me when it came to fitness and started my whole path down the rabbit hole of, you know, sports nutrition today.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, so that's me, man. That's me in a nutshell. Family man at night, businessman at day, and gym enthusiast throughout, right?
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, I mean, I've seen you in the gym a few times, and I've watched as the brand has grown, and I think it's pretty epic, man. I think the story behind it has to be pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
I know you're veteran owned, so you are a veteran yourself, correct?
Yep.
So, what is it that made that so important for you to put out there as far as the forefront of the brand?
You mean from the veteran aspect,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah. Because I think, in my opinion, like veterans really don't get enough recognition for what they've done. I think, and we can dig into this a little bit. Maybe you can see where your mind goes with this. But I think when most of us have a position where we haven't had a major struggle, right? We're not in the time of war. We've been in peace for the most part. Like we we had Afghanistan and everything. But the people that aren't on the front lines, the people that live in the country that are being told to appreciate their freedoms and everything. I think it's harder for people to understand. And sometimes I think they take it for granted, you know? And so I love companies like yours that stand up and say, hey, like we're veteran owned and we're trying to take care of veterans and like we're trying to give back because, you know, in my opinion, I just don't know if they're recognized enough for what they've done. Like seriously life risk, you know?
yeah, yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting how you just put it though, because it made me think back to my first deployment, which was probably the hardest deployment that I went through. That was like
Mm-hmm.
the heat of war over in Afghanistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, people are like, when we're over here, we're in our own little bubbles.
Yeah, man.
And like you may hear stuff that's going on in the news, and you may, see things that are happening, but people really don't have any idea until you've been over there. And that was kind of eye opening to me, and I don't know how to explain it. And it's interesting because I was coming back home from our first deployment, and we had just landed in the States from being in Afghanistan, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we'd been over there for 13 months, and we were in combat, and hitting IEDs and getting rocketed all the time, and constant, just constant, like your life's threatened, so you have that constant anxiety. But it was really weird. It's a surreal feeling because we landed in the States, and I think it was Bangor, Maine, right? And we land in this airport, like that's like the central hub when you come back from Afghanistan. You land there, and we walked through the airport, and it was weird because like it, you hadn't been able to release that stress. Like you're still like on
Tight.
edge, and you're still very what's the word I'm looking for? You're still very like,
You're in that zone, like
yeah,
you're in that risk mentality.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're just very you see everything that's going on around you. You're just very focused on everything. But you see these people sitting at the coffee shop, and they're drinking their lattes, and they're typing away on their computers, they're on their cell phones, and it's like this overwhelmingly frustrating feeling. And I remember I sat there and I was just shaking my head, and I was coming back with a sergeant that had been deployed several times, right? And he took one look at me, and he was like, "I know it's weird, huh?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Life just continued on for him." And it's like he knew exactly. It's like, yes, like that was what was going on in my head. Like there's just, they had no idea what we've just been through, what's going on over there. And just
Mm-hmm.
what you see on TV doesn't do it justice. But it's interesting that you brought that up, because that's what it made me think of, was that one instance and coming back and landing in the States. And um, you know but yeah, that kind of catapulted our mission after being in the military. And it's not really to get respect. Our mission originally was to try and give back to veteran-owned
Yeah.
or veteran nonprofit organizations that could help vets, just because of all the stuff that we experienced in the military and all the ailments that the veterans face and the stigmas around veteran suicide, around medication, around, you know, everything that they deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our original goal.
Yeah. I like to provoke the shit out of people. So if I say something like not respected enough, it's probably because I mean it a little bit. But,
Yeah.
you know, I definitely know that's not the face of your brand. And I think the best way to support people that have gone through something like that is to think about the positive and be in the optimistic and like be there for the support. And it's not about shaming the people that haven't been there, you know, right? It's about supporting people that have, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I was kind of curious, where did it even come from? Like, what made you want to start UXO in the first place?
Well, dude, it's such a long story. Like, I think that there's so many angles that like fed into it. It was like a perfect storm to where I got out and was like an aha moment. And it was like sports nutrition. That's where we're going.
Uh-huh.
But for me, I mean, originally, like I went backwards. Like a lot of people that join the, you know, Army or military, they join right out of high school. And a lot of soldiers who join, they join at such a young age because they're in a situation where they don't really have any other option. Like they don't have the ability to go to college based on, you know, finances, or maybe their grades weren't good enough. So they get pigeonholed into one of two options.
Yeah.
Be in the military or, you know, life of crime.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's other options, but for me, I came right out of high school and I had the gift of gab. So I jumped into sales and I made a ton of money. Like I was making, you know, a lot of money at a very young age, more money than I probably should have been, which led to alcohol and drugs and stupid decisions. And I did that till I was almost 30.
Mm-hmm.
I was 30 years old. And then I lost my job during the housing collapse, you know, 2009. And that's when I jumped into the military because with me, it was crazy because so here I was, this old dude coming in, I was going into basic training with all these young guys, but I wanted to do it because I felt like, you know, I'd been doing sales and I was selling computers and electronics and tech. And I didn't really feel like I was doing anything valuable with my life. That's probably why I needed the drugs and alcohol, because I was looking for some sort of, you know, outlet to make me feel better about what I was doing. So when I lost my job, I saw that I could have went and got probably another sales job and made good money, but I felt like I really wasn't doing anything meaningful, and decided to join the military. And I remember I walked into the recruiter's office. Here I am, this 30-year-old dude, and they're like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to see combat. Like, put me on the front line. Like, I want to do, you know, infantry. I want to do artillery. I want to do something." And we negotiated on artillery, and it was mainly because of my wife. Right, my wife didn't want me to be up in the forefront with a rifle, shooting guys, being shot at, and so we agreed on that. But what we didn't know, right, was at the time, the law of or the Geneva Convention and the rules of engagement, there wasn't a whole lot of artillery going on. So once I graduated basic training, we were basically handed rifles and said, "Hey, you're going to go down mountains and get to fucking look for bad guys." And I was like, yes.
So you got thrown anyway.
So I got to do what I wanted to do, which was great, you know.
Yeah.
And I would do it all over again. You know, it was such a great experience. But the crazy thing is so at 30 years old, like I said, I was in sales. At that point in time, I was drinking a lot. I was smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day. So the recruiter, when I went in there and said, "I want to join the Army," he was like, "Come back the next day. We'll do a PT test. We'll see how you do." And one of the things you have to do is run 2 miles. And I think it took me 23 minutes and I threw up 4 times. Like I was in bad shape. So they're like, "Yeah, you need work." So they put me on the delayed entrance. They gave me 3 months to try and whip my ass into shape. And I did. You know, every day I was out there running, I was doing like interval sprints to get my speed up and to get my endurance up, and push-ups and sit-ups just nonstop. And yeah, by the time I entered basic training, I was more than passing my PT test and got promoted automatically, and just jumped right into it, you know. Yeah, so after getting to my first unit, we were quickly deployed to Afghanistan. Like, I was there for like 6 months, and they're like, "Hey, we're heading to Afghanistan." I was like, "Sweet." Like, that's what you want to do when you're in the military too. Like, the worst part about being in the military is being in garrison life. Like, that's when you're here in the States. Like, when you're in Fort Knox and you're active duty and you're just sitting there cleaning barracks all day long and doing weapons checks or doing training on reactive contact, and it's just horrible. Like, you want to be over in Afghanistan fighting. And yeah, we got our wish. We got to go over, and we got stationed at this base called FOB Salerno. We called it Rocket City, because every day it got rocketed. Like, it was rocketed nonstop. And anytime it got rocketed, me and the team would have to go out and try and find who did it, and we'd hit IEDs and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a crazy wild experience. You don't know what to expect over there, and you get to a point, like, for me it was crazy, because you get to a point where, like, you almost accept that you're going to die over there. Like, you get to this point where it's like, yeah, I'm not coming back. Like, you come to terms with it, and you accept that you're not coming back,
dude.
Which is it's a weird mental fuck for you. But and then you come back, and you have to deal with trying to re-civilize yourself.
See, and I can see why that would be difficult. I mean, I have a couple friends in law enforcement, and I was actually just talking to one today, like, about that transition that you have to have between where you're at, that that constant risk mentality, and bringing yourself back down so you can live life around you for your wife, your kids, yourself.
And I still deal with it. Like, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, and I catch myself, like, and sometimes I beat myself up. It's like, man, I never used to react like that. But it's almost like you become more aggressive with certain scenarios that you shouldn't. But do
you think it's just because you've been conditioned for it like that? You think it's just because you've been conditioned for it like that? Like, the military, like, conditioned you to be able to aggressively.
And that's why, I think the VA, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of issues with the VA. I'll say that, right? From a veteran standpoint. And the one thing that I notice is they'll call out that, oh no, what you're doing isn't considered PTSD, because they don't want to pay out their claims. They don't want to pay out the disabled, connected claims. But the thing with me, what's different is, like, they tell these kids that probably don't know any different, because they're still developing, and they get out of high school and they jump right into the military and they go and experience these things, right? But I was an old cat when I joined. I was 30 years old, so I know how I used to act in a normal, corporate America world. And now the way I react to certain situations is completely different. So it's definitely the experiences you have over there affect you, regardless of your age, that it develops you in a different way,
So, if you don't mind, I kind of want to loop back a little bit. So, because you had so much time before you actually went into the military, and when you're 18, 19, 20, like, you feel like you just feel like hot lead. Like, you can take on anything, right? Like, hormones are raging, and, like, you feel tougher than anything. You haven't had much experience. You probably, good chance nobody's knocked you down yet. Maybe been in a few fights, whatever. Do you think that made you handle going into the military differently than if you would have been 18, 19, 20?
100%. And that's the other thing I looked at. So when I came in, like I said, I had a lot of ground to make up, right? But by the time I got in, like, I was gung ho, and they put you through some crazy shit. They really mess with you mentally, physically. I took on every challenge, and I constantly wanted more, because I think that, like, I had that experience where it's like, I'm not doing anything with my life, and I wanted to do something meaningful. So I went balls to the walls once I got in the military. And I went from being, when I first showed up at the recruiter's office, couldn't pass a PT test to save my life, to, by the time I was at my duty station for the first 2 months, I became one of the top performing physical fitness dudes at an older age.
Hmm.
And I think it's because, I was more mentally adept. Like um, I was more, uh,
Maybe you had more grit, more resilience, like because you've
yeah,
had gone
I
through these
just
things.
wanted to say like I was more mature, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If I had gone in at age 17 or 18, I don't think I would have made it. I probably would have been, you know, I, I don't think I would have made it. I
I think it
think
was more of like the maturity to see things logistically rather than react by emotion and
exactly.
maybe
I
something
think
like that.
that's, when they put you in some of these hard situations that are just more mental than they are physical.
Hmm.
Um, I think so. I watched a lot of younger guys give up. Like I went to air assault
Yeah.
training where they teach you to rappel out of helicopters and out of Blackhawks, right?
Hmm.
To help objectives. And there's these different physical training events that come associated with it, like a 12-mile ruck. You have to do a 4-mile run with a 30-pound weight vest on. And I saw a lot of guys tap out. And I think it was just they didn't have the mental fortitude to try and push through because I was like,
Yeah.
God, these guys are in better shape than I am. I'm a 30-year-old and these are young 18-year-olds dropping out of these runs. But at a point, it just becomes mental.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it was just the maturity helped me through it.
Yeah. And so when you did you already have the UXO supplements idea like when you're in the military, or
No,
where did that come
so
from?
backtracking to our first deployment, and like I said, it's just a very high stress situation. You're in constant danger,
Yeah.
and so we tried to find ways to, like, my outlet was the gym. Like we were on these
Yeah.
pods, and they had these makeshift gyms. They were tents, but they had all the weights that you could wish for. And we, in our first year over there, I think we were over there for 13 months. We went out on like 389 missions. So it was like every day we were going out
Jeez.
every day. And we'd come back off mission, and that's the first place I would head to. I'd make sure that
Hmm.
we didn't have anything coming down from the top, and I would go to the gym and I would just work out because that was your therapy.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my first experience too in the gym. Before that, I had never been in the gym. Like I said, I was mainly doing push-ups, sit-ups. I was running. Never been in the gym.
Hmm.
So that was my first experience, was overseas in Afghanistan, and it became just a passion from there. But the other thing that happened, and this was really interesting. So we'd buy supplements from like bodybuilding.com or wherever.
Yeah,
We'd
of
have
course. Yeah.
over to us to help us with our fitness goals. And they would always do these. They call them health and welfare checks. So they'd come into your little area that you lived in. Like we had the like 5x8 room that you lived in over there, right?
Yeah.
Come in, they would inspect your shit, make sure your shit was clean. They'd make sure that your shit was ready to go, like your weapons, that your ammunition was ready. Then they would also check your supplements, and they would go down the list, and they had a supplement ban list for the military, and they'd be like, nope, you can't be taking this. It's got this banned substance in it, or it's got this
Mm.
approved ingredient in it, and they would confiscate our shit. So after a couple times of having that done, it got to a point where it's like, man, like I started researching on my own, like, why is this stuff being confiscated? Why is this ingredient like banned or unapproved by the FDA or not approved? And I just started ordering in raw ingredients because I was sick and tired of ordering in a $40 thing of pre-workout and having it confiscated from me. So I just started ordering in like creatine and arginine and, just the raw
Basics. Yeah.
ingredients. It tasted like shit, but I knew it wasn't going to be taken from me. And that was that, without knowing it, without ever having an idea of UXO. That was kind of the start of it. Like I was mixing my own shit just because I knew it was safe and
Dude,
effective. You know, there
that's
was
kind of
no
cool.
plan of a business. There was no idea of a business. But when I think back on it, like that was
Hmm.
the first touch on it to say, like, this is the direction we need to go. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So when was that moment where you're like, oh man, I should build a supplement company?
So yeah. So as the years progressed, so I came back from our first deployment. We were back in the States, and like I said, that was my first experience. So there's a big stigma out there about just mental health with veterans after everything you've seen.
Hmm.
When you do go through a bunch of shit over there, um, it's hard for vets to ask for help, especially when you're
Yeah.
in the military, because there is that stigma and you're looked at as weak. So we came back from our first deployment, and we got a little R&R, and then we went right back into training, knowing that we were going to deploy in another 10 to 12 months
Hmm.
again. So we jumped back into training, and suicides started happening like all around us. We lost like 5 soldiers in the first 2 or 3 weeks of training. And so they ended up shutting down all operations. We had to go through some resilience training and stuff like that. And that was my first experience. Like, I was blown away, like just soldiers taking their lives. And it happens. Like the statistic that they came out in 2012 said that on average it's 22 veterans a day take their own life. Yeah. So, and that was my first experience seeing it firsthand. And it was like, man, like something's got to be done about that. And it didn't really feel, and I'm not bashing, but it didn't really feel like the military has things really set up to try and mitigate that. Like when it comes to mental health, when it comes to, talking to psychiatrists and things of that, like you go talk to a PA who's also a soldier, and you'd be able to vent some stuff, but they're quick to throw medication at it. Like that's their fix. Yeah. Like, hey, let's put you on antidepressants. Let's put you on anxiety medication. And even with my experience, like they would throw the pills at me too, and I would take them, and I wouldn't feel like the same person. I would feel lethargic. I'd feel like I was foggy, like I wasn't me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like by them throwing medication at those instances, sometimes that leads it down an even darker hole. So the reason I bring that up was because when I started to see that, I knew I wanted to get out of the military eventually. Like I knew I came in late, and after my first deployment, my knees banged up. I've got 2 herniated discs in my back, 50% hearing loss in one ear. And I'm like, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do military as a career. So it's like, when I get out, I'm going to create a business, and I'm going to find a way to prevent veteran suicides. I'm going to find a way to help vets who are suffering from these ailments, with me being one of them. But so then we fast forward a little bit later on down the road. One of our buddies, Sergeant Aaron Scales, he ends up going to an officer selection course. And that's like he's trying to advance his military career. And this dude's 28 years old. He goes in great shape. He goes on to advance his military career, and he goes to this training in Georgia. And he's away from us for some time. And one morning, we just get done with one of our 6-mile runs, and we come back, and our battalion lieutenant colonel's in. Anytime a lieutenant colonel's there, that means something bad. Like we thought somebody screwed up. We're all getting in trouble, He was there to inform us that Sergeant Aaron Scales had passed during a PT test. So he had to run his 5-mile timed route, and he died of cardiac arrest out on the track at 28, right? So it's like, wow, did he have, a previous condition?
Yeah.
Come to find out, there was a Fedra in his system, and it came from a pre-workout that he had taken called Craze. Yeah. So it goes back to that whole, like there's a dark side to the dietary supplement industry, and there still is. Like the FDA doesn't regulate the industry. Now, if it gets bad enough, they'll intervene, and they'll go after specific, companies or people. But like I can go into a local sports nutrition store right now and buy something off the shelf that has 1,3-DMA, which is a banned substance. Like the FDA has called it out, like it is illegal, but you can still buy products with it in it right on your store shelf today. So that was the next kind of aha moment was, there's a dark side to the industry, and there's a lot of pre-workouts loaded with high synthetic stimulants in it that cause heart failure, can have, health risks to taking it, especially when you combine it with high intensity training or, physical fitness. So
well, I mean, and it's like, why would you want to compound, guys that are already like stressed and high anxiety, like always hyped, and like, I think that, between stress, high cortisol levels, like your body always racing, it never gets its chance to come down. It never functions as well if you're always in a stress related state. And so I can only imagine like things that are bad for your body or make the situation worse. Like how, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but how is that allowed, but maybe it's because we haven't tested enough or whatever, but it seems like supplements have been around for so long. How are these things still happening? And like you said, like if the FDA is not, if they don't have a tighter, grip on this, then things are slipping by, it sounds like.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like I said, it's amazing. And even, so a local supplement store that sells our stuff here too, and I'll go in and I'll talk to him, and he's constantly looking to stock his shelves with those products because they are very close to they're very similar to methamphetamine, and people get cracked out, like they get addicted basically to these products. And they were like, he showed me, he had some open containers that he was selling on eBay of an ingredient that you can't find anymore. But people were paying like $200 for these containers that were open and already had like 2 or 3 servings missing out of them. And he's selling them open container on eBay for like $200 for a $40 supplement.
What?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. But that's what irritates me about, I think it comes down to the education is like some people get their hands on those and they get that jacked out, that cracked out feeling, and they get addicted to it. And that's what they look for in a pre-workout. And a pre-workout shouldn't be that, right? A pre-workout should be more about pump, about increasing blood flow, bringing more nutrients to your muscles, lower stems, right? But people don't understand that. That they're more apt to go after those high stimulant products that actually restrict blood flow. And it's the exact opposite of what you want in a pre-workout. But
weird.
That's what they look for.
Yeah.
Because they want that cracked out feeling.
And that's kind of the problem that I have with industry in the first place, is that they care less about health, and we trust pretty easily on what they give out because, there's scientists, there's labs, there's restrictions, blah, blah, blah. But I think to the people that are uneducated and that are trusting pretty easily, and, I don't know the most about supplements either, but it's because you trust so easily, you could be very well putting something in your body that has some negative effects and you have absolutely no idea because you can't see it on the outside. You're getting hyped, you're getting protein, you're getting, water retention, all these things. But you have no idea what's really happening inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we, with our products, we try and keep everything transparent as possible. We try and keep as low, and we use trademarked and researched ingredients that are backed with science and clinical claims. Yeah. So after that, and sorry, dude, I know it's just been going on and on. But
no. This is cool.
It directed us towards UXO, and after we lost our Sergeant Aaron Scales, that was kind of a wake up moment. And then, so as I neared exit, so I had one more deployment to Afghanistan. That deployment was much different. It was things were calm. We didn't have very many issues. You could tell things were kind of dying down over there. And so as I exited the military, though, I was looking for like, what's the thing I'm going to do? And that's where UXO came about. It's like, okay, I know there's all these issues. Passionate about fitness, right? Like getting in the gym and pushing myself. And so I wanted to create a supplement brand that kind of hit all of the checks. Like we wanted a clean supplement brand that was transparent, that, was going to be safe for athletes to use. It was going to be safe for soldiers to use. And we wanted to take a portion of those profits and donate it back to veteran nonprofit organizations. So we're partnering with Mission 22, and we've done a bunch of events with them, raising money to help, them fight veteran suicide. So they put together programs, they put together events to help these PTSD or veterans who suffer from PTSD kind of cope and learn to deal with their issues. And that's been our mission, ever since.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we started the company on Veterans Day in 2015.
Nicely done.
We're up on our 6-year anniversary. But technically, the company's, in my eyes, has only been around for 4 months. So coming out of the military, like for me, that's the way I view it. And they talk about, we can dive deeper into it, but they talk about when you have something that you're passionate about, when you want to do something, you need to burn the boats and jump into it 100%. right?
Okay.
And I failed to do that. Like a lot of people, even though they say it, a lot of people live outside of their means, and that was me.
Yeah.
I got out of the military, I got a nice job, but that's all it was a job. And I was making good money at that again. And I kind of racked up bills. Hey, let's get this nice. So then I'm working this job to pay the bills, and UXO was like my night passion. That's the thing that I was really doing, as kind of like a side hustle. So it was up until, it was April of this year. And I was like, I got to stop doing this. I've been doing it for 5 years. And so I sold the boat, I sold my truck, I refinanced the house, I paid off all my debt, where now the only thing I really have to worry about is my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped into UXO and have been doing it full time ever since. So it's only been roughly 5 months. But here's the crazy thing. We've done 3 times the amount of revenue that we did last year since I've applied all my focus into the business.
Yeah. And you can give it your full attention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's an opportunity cost. So, and that's what it's like, you hear people talk about it. Like you mentioned Gary Vee earlier. Before this, we were talking. And, Gary Vee, you hear all these experts, like, you got to jump into it. You got to, give it your full attention. There's a true opportunity cost associated with it, to when you're taking a bunch of your attention and putting it towards, what's paying the bills. That's attention and passion that's you're pulling away from the business, what you really want to be doing. So you have to, for anybody that's looking at jumping in and starting a business, like, you have to jump in and do it 100%. You have to take the chance. If it's something you truly believe in and you're passionate about, you have to give it 100.
Mm-hmm. So do you think this is something I'm definitely interested in then? Because you've kind of felt both positions, like when you decided to have half a foot in, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then when you completely jumped in, do you think that you needed that time before, or do you think that, you wasted a bunch of time, or do you think it would have gone different if you would have jumped right in from the beginning? It's hard to ask the question without it being too judgmental of the choices we make. But I mean, we can always think back and see how it would be differently. But what do you think? Would you have changed anything?
Oh yeah, there's a lot I would have changed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's so much. Like here's the thing that I look back on, and I was trying to do everything myself, and you just can't do. If you're trying to scale a business, you just can't do everything by yourself. You have to surround yourself with a team, right? But we didn't really know what we were doing. So our experience, like I look at some of our big competitors, like Caged. I look at Caged Muscle. We've got Alpha Lion. Glaxon, who I really respect. Like, there's a lot of good companies that are doing it right. And they also, a lot of them have big names out there promoting the company and pushing it forward. And we don't have a big name really pushing us forward. And we also didn't have the expertise within the industry to really know what we were doing. We had an idea, and it's like, we had a great idea, but we didn't know how to bring it all together into one solid, polished package.
Yeah.
And, so we made a lot of mistakes, and I would recommend that anybody that does jump into a business, maybe take that first little bit to make sure you have a backup plan, or not a backup plan. I don't want to say backup plan, but you have a good nest egg to carry you, because you do definitely need to hire resources to, ensure that you have a polished product, to ensure that you have a polished website. And we didn't. Like, I tried doing everything just very grassroots and on a very limited budget, and we built our own website, and it looked like crap. The only thing good about our business was our products. Like, we had great products, great formulas, but you wouldn't know that by looking at the website. You wouldn't know that by looking at the label design that we did ourselves. Everything was just, it didn't look good, And I think that hurt us for the first 3 years. We lost a lot of money. And then after that, we started to see profits come in. And last year we saw our first big profitable year. And so I would say, just make sure that you have the right resources. And if you are going to go on, do it right. Like, spend the money. You got to spend money to make money. And I feel like we lost it. We lost a lot of money up front by trying to cut corners, by trying to save a buck or two,
Yeah.
That probably punished us.
Well, but I mean, like mistakes, if you're willing to listen to them, like
Yeah.
fucking big lessons, right? Like
Oh yeah.
stuff that you're not going to do again.
Yeah. But what's interesting, like, because we'd have people be like, hey, we'll be a consultant for you and we're going to charge you this much.
Mhm.
And had I hired them, yeah, we probably could have avoided those mistakes. But to your point, yeah, it's always great to make those mistakes because you can learn from them, right?
Yeah.
It was just probably more costly than if we had just hired the consultant and had him guide us through the process up front.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's going to make mistakes, and they have to happen. You learn from them.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you probably understand this greatly then. Like you can only wear so many hats, right? Like there's no way that you can run the logistics, but also be the creative, and also, be the support and like whatever other hats there are to run it. Like you can't ultimately have them all on at the same time, right?
No, no, but I think any entrepreneur, when you're first starting out, if you're not coming from like a big investment or a bunch of money backing you,
Yeah.
every entrepreneur eventually, or has to start off doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as you grow, you have to start turning over responsibilities and finding
Mhm.
that. That's what I was talking about earlier, like surrounding yourself with a team
Yeah.
that can take on these responsibilities and help you grow. If you do try and sit there, if you try to sit there and do everything and wear all those hats, again, it goes back to that opportunity cost. If you're sitting there as a CEO of your own business and you're creating content and you're creating ads and you're, doing the operational side of the business, that's
Mhm.
time you spend on the phone trying to grow the business with someone
Yeah.
else, right? So, um, yeah, you can't afford to do that either.
Yeah. So something I've kind of wanted to get to now that we're kind of in this. Um, did you have any areas of pushback of like people, judging you or like, kind of giving you limitation or like being, oh, this is kind of just a hobby thing. Like, when are you going to get back to, making money or, doing this job, or how did that come? Because we almost always have people that, and you don't even know it until you start trying to grow. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, we still have naysayers, it's
Yeah.
funny. I wouldn't say pushback, but, there's people that will, because we don't have big names, we're still growing, we're still a
Yeah.
small company, but, people call us out for not being a real supplement brand, probably just because of our branding, we're not the 100% like fitness, what's the word I want to look for? Like, I'll be honest, like I'm not in the best shape. Like I eat pizza. I
Dude, I love
like,
pizza.
I'll drink my rum and Coke. But yeah, when it comes to supplements and things like that, like we want to be 100% transparent and have the best
Mhm.
quality products. But I think that kind of hurts us because we do have those fitness buffs that are like 100% track every macro. And I'm all for that. That's not
Yeah.
my lifestyle right now. That's not what I'm about.
Yeah.
Um, but so they look down upon us, maybe thinking that we don't fit in, or maybe it's because we have guns and stuff like that in our content because we are veteran focused, and that's what our whole mission has been around.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of pushback for that, but I
Yeah.
basically don't give a fuck. Like there's some people that like they can be pissed off and they can call us out on social media, but I'm not going to change who we are. Like this is
Mhm.
what we're about, and I'm sorry that they are against the Second Amendment or conservatives. They don't need to follow us, and I'm okay with that. I know we're not going to win over every customer, and we're not the company for every person. We try to stick to our niches.
It makes me think like the whole idea of being big fish in a little pond, like you can only be there so long, but it's also almost that opposite. Like when you jump over and it's like you're a little fish in a really big pond, and you're always at some point, especially starting a company, like you start off small, like you're going to be, you know, a a tiny person in a land of giants,
Oh yeah,
until you push through and like your resiliency gets you to where you want to go. I
yeah.
mean, supplements. Like why would you not be allowed to be in there compared to anybody else, And sometimes I think people get so carried away with the flash
Oh
of
yeah.
brands that's what they trust. And I think that's where people can have problems with supplements is they don't know what's in them. They just know the way that it looks. They know the way that it feels and don't know anything different.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the crazy thing is, and you know, but I know that the direction we're growing, and that's a positive thing. And I'm not concerned. But yeah, you look at the big companies, right? That
Yeah.
have the big marketing dollars, and they're just flooding the market with their ads. And that's cool. That's great for them. But you're right. A lot of people will get blinded by that. And it becomes a cool factor. Like, oh, I'm going to buy
Hmm.
this because everybody else is using it. And, which is fine. I don't know if you're aware of this, but and I'm not going to call out the company or the CEO, but look this up. But one of the biggest supplement companies right now, the CEO is facing a 6-year indictment for knowingly putting in anabolic steroids in their products. But they still lead the industry in sales.
Hmm. Hmm.
People continue to buy their stuff because of
Yeah.
their marketing, because
Yeah.
of their flash. And like I said, nothing against them as far as like they do them, and they are very, very good at marketing. Like I wish we even had a quarter of their marketing power,
Yeah.
but that's where it goes.
Hmm.
It's all about the flash, and people are willing to buy it.
Yeah.
But I think that goes both ways though, because people buy that because they want to become part of that community too, right? So I think that's what's cool about UXO and what we're doing is we're building that community. Like we are small, but the way we build that community is we get more like-minded individuals on board that see the quality and learn to trust us and learn more about our story and can back behind it. And that's how we grow and scale.
Yeah. Well, I think we're social animals, right? And so I think there's something that has to be said for the bonds that we create. Money can get you any supplement you want, but how close are you to that brand? Like, why is it you take that brand in the first place? And that's kind of what I see with UXO is like, it's very personal and it's very like close knit because of what you're trying to pull off. And you're actually hitting people's hearts because you do want to give back to the veterans. You do want to make sure people are taking in, healthy supplements and, aren't getting sick and like just passing away all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So the other thing was like, and you don't you don't have to throw out anything more than what you're comfortable with, but what were the tough things over the last 5-6 years that were just fucking like you want to give up, right? Because I think we all have that mentality every once in a while. What pushes you through in times like that?
I think honestly, we're in one of those times right now. Not, there's times where, yeah, like we're definitely, I want to go bang my head against the wall and be like, man, I give up, but
Yeah.
the next day it's, you're remotivated, you wake up and it's like,
Mhm.
it's after this and we go push forward. But COVID has been the biggest struggle,
Yeah.
unforeseen, that I couldn't have foreseen. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's the long-term ramifications. Like when COVID hit, it actually helped us out. Like people started changing their buying powers and or their buying habits and shifted to online purchasing. So people were buying direct from us, and we saw sales start to increase. And we rode it, and we started doing more advertising, more marketing, growing our ambassador team to help us spread the word. And we're on pace, like I said, to triple last year's revenue.
Mhm.
But now it's just like with every industry. It's not just affecting sports nutrition. Like there was the shortage on lumber, and prices on lumber went through the roof. There's gasoline. There's now appliances. You can't even get parts for appliances. All appliances are like on back orders. They're building these houses, and people can't get stoves for them. And the supplement industry is no different. Like the raw ingredients have just almost doubled in price, and getting our hands on specific plastic containers has been near impossible. We had to change up several of our labels because we just can't get our hands on the foil material that we use.
Mhm.
And production time along with that has doubled, if not tripled in some cases. So where it used to take us 5 to 6 weeks to create a product from here's payment to getting the product in our hands, it's now upwards of 12 to 14 weeks, which makes it more difficult to forecast. But at the same time, you also have to put that money up front. So
Mhm.
I put that money up front and I don't have the products for 12 weeks. That's 12 weeks I'm without a lot of money, right? So it becomes difficult, man. And it's been very, very challenging and very painful. And even with us tripling the amount of revenue that we've done in 1 year, our profits haven't tripled because our cost of production has gone up as well. So
Mm-hmm.
seeing dwindling margins on some of our products. And in fact, we may even have to retire a couple until stuff starts to rebound.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to some of the industry experts, like they don't expect for this rebound to happen for almost another year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been challenging, but the way I look at it is it's temporary. So even
Mm-hmm.
though it's here, it's temporary. So we'll come out more resilient on the other side
Mm-hmm.
and stronger. And it's unfortunate because this has affected the small medium business more so than the bigger giants, the conglomerates. And I've seen, being in this industry as long as we have, like I said, I see us as only being open for like the past 4 months, but we've been around for 6 years, and I've met a lot of people along that way. And
Mm-hmm.
I know of 5 supplement owners or companies that I've shared space with at expos or been booth neighbors with that have shut their doors, like they just can't weather it anymore. And it's unfortunate, but we will continue to weather it, and we'll come out, like I said, stronger.
Dude, where does your mindset come from? You are like fucking on it, like resilient as fuck. It's impressive, man.
But dude, well, it's not always this way. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how many times I've, and I have a good support system here with my wife. Like, Carrie has seen me go through this, and she's always been my biggest supporter, even when I've had to cash out some of our 401k, when I believed in this business so much that I took some of our retirement fund and dumped it into it to make it grow.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always been the biggest supporter. There's been times where I've cornered her, and I'm just like, this MFer said this, and this lab's saying this, and these guys can't get this, and I'm super negative. And she helps me turn it around and look at it in a positive light. She's been good at that.
Dude, there's something to be said for our opposites that reel us in, that can keep us grounded. It just goes to say too, like, even in that point of view, you can't do things on your own. Sometimes you need that person like right at your side to help you weather that shit and bring reality back into play, and like
Yeah,
reoptimize and
there you go.
right.
We optimize, right? Yeah, like Nick, and I've been helping Nick with Until Death Barbell. Like, I love Nick, and there's even been a couple times where he's called me up and asked me for advice, and I'm just super negative. I'm like, no, you want to do this because of this and this and this, and I like drop, and sometimes you just need to vent, and then I'll call him back up like a half hour later. I'll be like, sorry about that, dude. Just need to get it. You're good. Here's the way I approach it. And yeah, sometimes you need to explode, as long as you can get it off your chest and then refocus and get back after it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, we don't. That's not where our focus is at today, but learning emotional control, right, and then learning emotional acceptance is something that's very difficult, especially for a lot of men. And going back to what you were saying before, with what you were using your time and money for, before you entered the military, there's something basic and primal, instinctive, whatever you want to call it, in a lot of us men, that like, if we don't have an outlet for whatever value we want to get, if we don't have a value system, or we have all this energy and pent up and we don't have anywhere to direct it like healthy, then it's going to come out unhealthy. And I think that's where a lot of us miss the mark, is like, if we could give it a direction, if we could give it some sort of point on the map of where we want to put it, like the way we would do anything can turn around, and I'm not saying this is what this is, but for veterans too that come home, and you hear about them not being able to get jobs and stuff, like, how else is their mental state supposed to go, when they don't have support and they don't have anybody to help them find a direction, when they just came from, be on the edge of a war. I mean, being in a war, and like they have direction, they have rules, like mission rules, and like everything you're supposed to follow through, and then you come back into this society that, you know, everything's kind of a free for all, and, you know, everybody's doing anything, and, you know, there's not really any focus for individuals. And so how do you connect to people, and how do you find something where most of your life you just kind of known to be, uh you know, a soldier that takes direction and like has everything kind of set up for him. I kind of sounds fucked up, but you know what I mean? Like,
Oh no, you're right.
I
Yep.
understand kind
Constantly
of where
told
that
where
mentality
to be
comes from.
and to be there. How to
Yeah.
dress. Yeah.
No, it's tough, man. And that's something that I never experienced. I had a recruiter come at me when I was a teenager because I was interested in it. I was like, oh yeah, this be cool. Like basic training. Like I love the physical aspect. I want to see if I can handle these guys yelling at me and stuff. But he
Yeah.
pushed on me so hard. When people push on me so hard, like I'm out. Like I don't. I know it's more for you than it is for me. So so that was my one opportunity, and I totally. But I don't know if I would have made it either. I think I would have been that 18, 19, 20-year old that you were talking about. I don't know if I would have. I don't
Yeah.
know if I would have had the mental uh, ability to make it through that. But yeah, man, I got respect for people that put their lives on the line and, you know, do something above and beyond that other people don't understand, especially when we live in a country that could probably give it more focus and give it um more of a helping hand,
Yeah.
or an understanding, you know.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of it, like you said, or the understanding. It's kind of interesting. So a year ago, well, no, it was this last Memorial Day, we did a 100-mile ruck. It was
Jesus,
for
man.
Mission 22. Yeah, we did it in 3 days. Now there were three of us. It was myself, John Ramos, and Spencer Lynn. He's a lieutenant in the Army. He flew in from Pittsburgh to do it with us, and he's the only one that completed it. Like me and John tapped out. I tapped out at like mile 70. John tapped out a little bit before me, and we underestimated it, right? But you know, the whole goal was to do it to raise money, and we raised $7,500 for Mission
Yeah.
22. And my whole goal was to, you know, fight veteran suicide, fight veteran suicide. And Spencer shows up, and you know, it kind of it made me think of it from a different angle. But he was like, "Why are you doing this, Spencer? Like, why'd you want to join us?" And he was like, "You know, I just feel for these soldiers that come home and don't have a support system, that basically
Yeah.
left. You know, they didn't have anything, so they left and joined the military. And then when they exit the military, they come back to nothing. They don't have that support system." It made me think about it because I was fortunate. Like I said, I was an old cat coming in, and I've had loving parents. I had, you know, parents that were always there for me. I never dealt with any sort of abuse or anything like that. So when I came home, I still have my loving parents, even though they're not here in Idaho. Like we talk, and you know, they're very supportive of everything I do. I have my loving wife. I have my daughters, and I think of what if I didn't? If I came home,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me think about the soldiers. I never really put it into that perspective of, man, like some of these guys, yeah, and that could be a leading cause to, you know, the emotional distress and all the other disorders that are happening. But you know, yeah, I feel for them, and there needs to be more support out there for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right now I know that there's bills that they push forward that have been denied, and so that's why it's great that we have organizations, nonprofit organizations like Mission 22 and these other guys, Homes for the Troops, that are doing, you know, things to try and make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, people sometimes think that individual power doesn't really go that far, kind of like the voting thing, you know. But what you know, if it wasn't for some of the organizations like that you're supporting, how far off would we really be then?
Yeah.
You know, it's the community powers. It can be super super strong. I respect
Yeah.
that. Where do you see UXO going? Not
Um,
to steal any future secrets or anything.
no, I see us, you know, I see us scaling. Like, I want to be a giant, right,
Yeah,
in the industry.
yeah.
And I want to try and, like, we talk about all the bad that happens. And like I said, there's some good companies out there. There's companies like Caged, and what Chris Geffen is doing. I respect him. What's interesting is we started about the same time. I didn't even know about him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Caged came out right about the same time as us. And then come to find out he's right here in Boise, Idaho, you know?
Yeah,
So I
right.
got him, and he's a great guy. And I respect what he does. I respect what like Pre-Gym does, and some of the other companies I named earlier. But I think that's how we make change, is we change by becoming bigger and by changing the context of what's being put out there in the supplement industry. Um, yeah, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know how big we'll get, but we'll be big.
You know, somebody once told me that instead of saying like a specific goal of like I'm going to be better than this person, all you do is say that I'm just going to be the best, because it's open ended. Like
Oh, yeah,
there is no end to that. Like you could be the best and then you can continue to be the best. Like there's no end goal where you can stall. Like you don't get to the end and you're like, oh, okay, finally made it. You continue to just go because there's always something more to
yeah,
tap on.
yep. One,
Um, so I d- what are your I kind of what would be your stack? Because I know that all of us kind of that are into the athletics, you know, powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding, all this stuff. We all kind of build these stacks. What's your favorite supplements of yours that you like to use?
oh Jesus,
All of them, of course, right?
right. That's why, yeah. You know, I'll have guys that reach out to me that were like deployed with me. In fact, I had one reach out to me the other day, and he's like, "Hey man, what do I need?" And you know, so I dig more into like, well, what's going on, man? What are your goals? And what
Mm,
does your fitness look like? What's your diet look like? And then I end up just recommending a whole slew of stuff, right? And I look
yeah.
back, I was like, dude, I was like, I'm sorry, like I realize this looks like a grocery list, but here's why I'm recommending it X, Y, Z. Um, like I take a lot of our stuff, but if I had to narrow it down to just three, um, send it or pre-workout, like that's I have to have that, right? Um, so send you've tried it, right? You think you tried the original formula,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
we revamped it a couple times. But I mean, yeah, it's got 4 trademarked ingredients in it. It's third-party tested, so it's safe for soldiers and athletes. Good pump, like best pump. Like we loaded it with pump ingredients. So
Hmm.
you definitely have more endurance. Muscles are going to fill up with more fluid. Strength is going to increase, and it's got good beta alanine kick in it. Now, some people don't like it. I need to have it, so you get the tingles, right? You take that
Hmm.
like 15 minutes after you down it, like you feel the tingles kick in, and you're like, oh shit, it's time to go to work.
Dude,
But you
I
don't
love
get
that
like
feeling.
that. You don't get the hearts, the heart palpitations. You
Yeah.
don't get that irritability. Like I've tried some high stim pre workouts, and I just feel anxious on them. I feel like,
Hmm.
ooh, you don't get that. Send it's a smooth ride, but you definitely know you're on something. Um, our greens, Gilly Greens, dude, I love that product, and we sell a ton of it. It's become our second best selling product.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a greens product. It tastes amazing. Like we worked on it for over a year with just flavoring, just to make sure it tasted right. So it
Well, and
didn't.
I remember tasting it like what, a year and a half or 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You tasted it. That's when
Yeah.
we were in research and development. We kept kicking it back, and we finally perfected the formula, and it tastes amazing. But that one's got KSM 66 in it. It's
No idea
a
what that means.
it's a it's a
I don't pay attention to my supplements either.
it's a it's a ashwagandha root. It's a root of
Oh,
like
okay.
this like just woody type stem
Hmm.
that's grown over in India. But it's been clinically proven to reduce cortisol levels, to improve mood, to reduce anxiety and stress. So this thing, like I take it daily. And what I tell people is like, I notice now the days that I miss, like that I don't take it, like I definitely feel a little bit more on edge,
Hmm.
right? So the days that I take it, I feel, it's like business as usual. Like, let's go. It's a great, and plus it helps you bridge your nutrient gap. So you're getting all your important vitamins and
Yeah.
minerals, all your superfoods, and you just feel good. So I love that product. Yeah. And then Charlie Mike, that's the other one. Charlie Mike's military term for continue mission.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's our intro workout, but it's we just re-released it in a new orange creamsicle flavor, which
Oh, that
tastes
sounds amazing.
amazing. But yeah, it's got all of your essential amino acids. It's got coconut water powder in it. It's got pink Himalayan salt. All of those are great for helping you retain nutrients and minerals, so you're not sweating them out.
Hmm.
And then the essential amino acids are great for putting on lean muscle mass. But we added Pico too. It's a blend of adaptogenic. It's a blend of adaptogenic mushrooms.
Okay.
So it's clinically proven to boost your VO2 max and your time to exhaustion. So your endurance goes through the roof. And they did clinical studies on athletes from the University of North Carolina with this mushroom blend. And like they saw they saw improvements in their time to failure, the VO2 max, by 70 seconds.
Wow.
So they could go for an extra 70 seconds before they hit that where they were done, where they hit exhaustion,
Dude.
which is nuts. Like
And
I
my
had,
cardio sucks. That would be great as a powerlifter.
oh yeah, and we felt it like that 100-mile ruck that I told you we went on. Like we had every 5 to 10 miles we had checkpoints where a Sherpa would meet up with us and we'd refill on like Charlie Mike and water, and we'd get little snacks and stuff to keep us going.
Mhm.
And there were a couple times where I ran out of Charlie Mike and all I was doing was just drinking water. I had a backpack full of water. And like you just felt depleted. You still felt dehydrated because you just sweat that water, right? It just goes right through. And the minute we meet up with our Sherpa, take our Charlie Mike, it was like instant. Like you felt it like instantly. You felt like you had more energy, like you were replenished. You felt hydrated. You were good to go again. It was nuts. So I love that for me. Yeah.
Dude, I might be trying some new things by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I'll give us some samples. You'll love Charlie Mike. It's good.
Okay, so I got a couple more things. So the
Sure.
big thing that I like to get across to people is like that there's something else out there, and like we need to question everything that we do so we don't get sucked into some sort of conditioned state and we end up doing, living life in ways that we don't want to. And I want people to know that. And it's the reason I reached out to you, because you created this thing from your own desire, right? So what is it like? What kind of advice would you give to people that that do want to think for themselves and do want to build something and pay attention to what they're passionate about or find their passion? And what would you give out to people that really need it, to kind of follow that path?
I would say, you have to believe in yourself. Like you have to take that step. You just have to. If it's something you're truly passionate about. There was a quote that, oh man, I'm gonna have to find it, but it was really impactful quote for me. Shoot, I was gonna see if I could look it up. I'm gonna have to edit this.
Hey, if it's a good quote
that basically said, for any entrepreneur, you have to have belief in your ability to go out there and drive something forward. But in the back of your mind, you also have to realize that there's the risk of failure, right? Those that go into anything without having the fear of failure could fail and lose everything, right? But starts with the belief. So I forget how he ended the quote, but anyways, basically just saying that, yeah, you have to realize there has to be that fire underneath you. It's kind of like the thing that's going to hold you accountable to yourself. But you have to have an overwhelming belief in what you're doing is going to overwhelm that fire. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing is for me, like it was belief in the company, which I had. Then as you talked about earlier, being in front of the camera, like I hate being in front of the camera. I hate talking, and that comes with the territory. Like you have to push yourself to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. You have to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions and make them comfortable to become better at what you do, whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be standing in front of the camera. It's just whatever, you struggle with. Yeah. Turn your weakness into a strength. And if you can't become a strength, then you take your strengths and you optimize those and make them even more powerful.
No, well said, man, because sometimes I think people get carried away with the complexity and thinking it's really complex when the foundation probably comes down a lot more to your belief and your ability to push through things.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Two questions, but what does it mean to you then to be rebel minded? How would you describe that?
Rebel minded.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if this is what you were going for.
Hey, it's your answer.
This is my answer.
Yep.
See, I think being rebel-minded is pushing the status quo, right? Like
Mm.
not just accepting what people tell you to be firm and true. For me, rebel-minded would be to, to push the limits, to not to be afraid to ask questions, to, like that's the thing that bugged me in corporate America, man. Corporate America, there's always like that. This is the way it's done. This is the way it's got to be. Here's our SOP. And you might have somebody, might not even be yourself, but somebody else might be like, hey, why don't we do it this way? Like this way is going to be more efficient. Like that's the whole process behind Lean and Sigma 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes corporate America be like, no, this is our SOP. This is the way it needs to be done. People need to look for ways to improve things, to make things more efficient, to challenge things that are set in place when they need to be challenged.
Yeah. No, I fucking agree. I think that all of us can get a little too carried away with being compliant.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compliant, complacent. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think UXO is great. Like I'm so glad that you were able to come on here and fill in, what you guys are actually about and your foundation. And I think it's fantastic. Where can people find you, and what are the things that you want people to know about UXO?
I think just if they've watched this whole thing, that they know enough about UXO. So I would say check us out, social media.
There you go.
Like I said, with us, fitness was one of our outlets overseas. The other outlet was just trying to find humor in things, right? When you dealt with stressful situations. So we also try and keep our content lighthearted. We try and find humorous things and keep things entertaining. So definitely check us out on social media. Go to the website, check out some of the products, www.uxosupplements.com. And know about us, man. I mean, just continue to follow us. Like we're going to continue to scale. I talked about the 100-mile ruck we did last Memorial Day. We're doing it again this year. But based on the feedback we got last year, we raised $7,500. Like you talked about, like let's maximize it. Like the sky's the limit. Like this time I'm opening it up. I'm opening it up as almost like a race. And we're partnering with the city to get permits, and we're going to have a concert. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have beer, and all this donated to Mission 22. And my goal this year is like fuck 7,500. Like we're going to raise $100,000, right?
Dude,
like we're making it a huge event. Where last year I said there were 3 of us that did it. This year we're opening it up. It's not going to be 100 miles. We're going to do 22 miles with less weight, but we're opening up to where anybody can join us. $22 to join the ruck. 22-pound pack. We're going 22 miles, all for the 22 veterans that could take their lives every day. And all of the money is going to go to Mission 22, but it's going to be a big event. Like we started planning it last week. We've got until Memorial Day to get everything figured out, but it's going to be huge.
Dude, that's fantastic. I want to do it. I might be able to make it 22 miles. Dude, I don't know.
You should. I know we've got Hover Power and Kristen.
Yeah.
They're coming up from New Mexico. They're going to do it. We got a lot of people. I'm planning on flying in some like a motivational speaker that's going to give a speech and going to have a concert. Like we're going to do it big. Like we're going all out this time.
Dude, it'll be epic. It'll be perfect.
Yeah. Dude. So anybody who follows us, please check that out. Come down, support. Join us on the ruck. It'd be cool to have as many people in it as we can. Memorial Day 2022. Hell
yeah, man. Let's do it. Jon, honestly, thank you. I'm glad you filled me in on the company and what it's really about. I like it that much more. And thank you for fucking creating it. Thank you for creating something that is supportive of veterans and supportive of people and like their fucking health and fitness itself. Like it's been awesome, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for being on the RMP. For everyone else out there, go check out UXO. You're going to love this company. I know you're going to love these supplements too. I've tried them. But for everyone else out there, stay strong, stay rebel minded. This is your host, Zach, out. Hey guys, I hope that all things we've brought here, including the people, have helped you change the way that you see the world. And if it has, then it would help us so much if you leave a rating and a comment on iTunes or give any feedback wherever you listen to the RMP. Thank you for listening in, and don't forget to follow and subscribe. Question everything, my friends.